We'll start with the prayers. Om Bhadram Karne Vishruniyama Devaha Bhadram Pashye Makshabhiryajatraha Stirairangaihi Stuštuvagam Sashtanubihi Vishema Devahitam Yadayuho Swasti na Indro Vriddhashrabaha Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha Swasti nastакshorarishtanemihi Swasti no Brihaspatir Dadato Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Our text for study is Mundak Upanishad, the second Upanishad which we are covering after Kaivalya Upanishad. This text, as I have introduced to you before, consists of 3 chapters and 64 verses. We are in the first chapter, the second section. What have we covered so far? We have covered basically the introduction of the teacher, Angiras, the student called as Shaunaka, and there is a Guru-Sishya Samvada discussion. In this discussion, the student is a brilliant student, and he has analyzed life in all aspects. And then he puts in a question. And the question is there something in the universe knowing which I can know the entire universe? Is there anything in the universe knowing which I can know everything in the universe? To that question, the teacher says, yes, there is. If you know the cause of the world, then you will know the world. The cause is one, ekam, and the world is many, product. It's an effect. So that is how the teacher introduces the topic. And he says the cause is called as paravidya, the knowledge of the higher principle, knowledge of the subject of the universe. And then the knowledge of the universe is called as aparavidya. In short, matter is aparavidya. The spiritual principle behind the matter is paravidya. To this, the student was quite surprised. He said, yes, I have known about the causes of the universe. And what I have learned is there is a material cause, there is an instrumental cause, and there is an efficient cause. For example, there is a material cause for the production of clay, which is clay. Then there is the instrument. A potter uses a wheel and so on. That is the instrument. And then there is a potter, who is the efficient cause, intelligent cause. But I have not heard of any cause where all the 3 are one. To which the teacher gives the example of spider and the web it creates. Through this example, he says the spider is able to create a web which is an insentient thing. Similarly, in human body, the human beings are sentient beings. They are able to create hair in the body. Hair comes, hair goes. So as from a sentient, you can get the insentient. That is one principle. And The second principle is there is a possibility where the cause itself is the material cause. Material cause, intelligent cause, instrumental cause, all three can be combined as one cause. And that is what is the cause of this universe. The cause of the universe has been described as Brahman. Just call it Brahman. You can call it X. You can call it Y. You can call it the higher principle. You can call it Paramarthikam. You can call it so many names. So Angiras, the teacher, says that Brahman is the cause, and whatever you see in the universe, which is the perceptible universe, is the effect. So that was a brilliant first section. Then now we have entered this, then there was a second section in which Apara Vidya was quoted, and here the student says that I have seen the universe, but there is nothing called as Brahman. And there is a mantra there called Pariksha Lokan, very important mantra, which all of us have to do that. So we have to also see that whatever we see in the world, our experiences are all finite. They are not infinite. They are not permanent. But the Upanishad is saying there is something permanent in this world. Aksharam, very famous word used in this whole Mundak Upanishad. Then we came to second chapter. We are doing the first section now, which is focusing on creation. Now, creation is very, very beautifully discussed in almost all the Upanishads. But the way they discuss creation is very different. In some Upanishads, like Chandogya Upanishads, they say the whole seen world has come from three elements. Taittiriya Upanishad says the world has come from 5 elements. Now, in this Upanishad, Mundak Upanishad, creation is described in this first section of chapter 2. And then in chapter 3, we are going, in the second section, we are going to see Omkara Upasana. And then there will be a Mahavakyam, which we'll study in the second section. The third chapter, consisting of 2 sections, very beautiful section. Section 1 deals with the 2 birds example. And the section 2 talks about how ignorance is removed and what is the benefit of removing this ignorance. So this in broad view is the view of the entire Upanishad, consisting of 64 verses, roughly divided into 22 verses, 21 and 21, 64 verses. So what are the salient features we should remember whenever we are trying to understand Brahman? The most important thing we should understand is Brahman is the cause, Karana, and the whole universe is an effect. Effect can be many. We have billions of people in the world. Objects are many. Stars are many. Planets are many. I mean, you can see the entire variety in creation, but don't get confused when it comes to the cause. The cause is only one. That's the first point. Second point we should understand is all effects, they will resolve into cause. Okay? So there is absolutely nothing to worry about death as such. Death is only meaningful when we are looking at it as a samsarin, as a person who is identified with the body. You can have worry about death, you can worry about all the experiences you have, that is what is, when you come to Upanishads, the view of the Upanishad is very, very different than an ordinary person. Ordinary person is called as Ajnani, ignorant person. When you come to Upanishad, you discover there is a higher reality which is never destroyed. And then only you can say, I have no death. I have no birth. I here stands for the higher principle, which is called as Brahman. So this is the second most important point you should remember whenever you're thinking about, whenever you are keeping or studying Brahma Vidya. The third important point you should remember is the whole universe is projected by Brahman, sustained by Brahman, resolved into Brahman. And this happens by Maya Shakti. There is a power in this higher principle called as Brahman. That principle has got the power to project, sustain, and resolve. Who projects our waking state, dream state, sleep state? It is that Shakti, universal Shakti, which is there in this universe. So this is the third point you should remember, that this principle, whatever is this X principle, has got the power to project, sustain, and resolve. This is what is called in simple terms as manifestation of the universe, unmanifestation of the universe. There is no creation as such per se. Nothing, that means what? Something, the universe was existing in a potential form, unmanifest form. That unmanifest form is converted into manifest form. How does this happen? How do I understand this? Simple example is our dream. Where is the dream which we are going to dream tonight? Potentially it is there in my mind. It becomes manifest when I use that Shakti called as Nidra Shakti, sleep Shakti. I can forget this entire waking world, that is called as the Shakti, the power. Forgetting is a power. When I forget the waking world, then I project the dream world. Similarly, when I forget my nature, the higher nature, Brahman nature, that Brahman projects this waking world. This is the third point. And the last point, the fourth point is, these are all just coming to me to give you a broad basis on which to understand this whole concept called the pure consciousness, pure existence. The fourth point is, you should remember, there is only one consciousness principle and one existence principle. Existence means what? I see that the universe is existing. I see my body is existing. I see the sun is existing. The birds are existing. The nature is there. I see everything as existing, existing, existing. And I am conscious of that. So the fourth point you should remember is, Brahman is defined as Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. Satyam means existence principle. Consciousness is Jnanam, knowledge. And Anantam means bliss, Ananda, happiness. All these three put together is called as Brahman. And it is a higher nature, not what we are experiencing here as the body-mind. So this is the fourth point we should remember whenever we are understanding the Upanishads in general. I hope you keep these 4 points in mind and then study all the Upanishads. Then it will become clear. Okay, so the Brahman's Shakti is called as Maya. Very important point in higher text. We are doing the Panchadasi on Wednesday classes. In the chapter there, we have discussed Maya in about 8 verses. This power called as Maya. Okay, with that introduction and background, let me go to where we stopped last week. And that is this particular 43rd slide. We are in the second chapter. We are talking about creation in the first section. So we are in the second chapter, first section, third mantra. Etasmat jayate pranaha manas sarvendriyani cha kham vayur jyotir apaha prithvi vishwasya dharini. So here, that Brahman is the cause. From that pure Sat Chit Ananda principle, the entire universe of prana. Prana means all the living beings, the mind, the subtle body, the organs, subtle organs, gross organs. Then the 5 elements. All these are supported by what principle? Pure consciousness, pure existence. Why do I call it pure? Because it doesn't have intrinsically the universe in it. It is a principle in which it alone is. I will explain this particular aspect when I take up the Q&A session today. So, Atma is born, Prana, Manaha is born, they're all products. Panchabhutas, the 5 elements are born, they are product. Where are they born? From Purusha. How does this creation come from Purusha? Through the Maya Upadhi. I have explained technically what is Upadhi. Upadhi is something which will transfer its attributes to the substratum Brahman without Brahman getting affected. So Maya is the Shakti which belongs to Brahman. It will never change Brahman, but it will only be used by Brahman as projecting the universe. For projection of the universe, Brahman, the ex-Brahman, whatever you may call it, but it is beyond our names and forms and beyond body, mind, intellect. That is what is Brahman. We have seen the definition of Brahman. We are going to be in the first chapter, the 6th mantra. Okay, so that 5 times in this Upanishad, we are going to see the definition of Brahman. We have seen that in the first chapter, 6th mantra. Adrishyam, Gocharam, all that, yeah. Then in the second chapter, first section, we have seen Divyo Yamurte. Okay, this just before this 3rd verse, there was the definition of Brahman. As we go by, I will tell you the balance 3 places where the definition of Brahman will be given. These are indicative definitions for the mind, human mind, to look in the direction of Brahman. That's all. That is how the definitions of Brahman are given in all the Upanishads. And you must focus on the definitions for your higher growth in spiritual study. You must, number 1, note it down. Number 2, you must contemplate on them. Mananam. Number 3, you should say, I am of that nature, and drop your nature of body and mind. These are the 3 basic steps in spiritual study. Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyas. Okay. Then we have seen this example before, and in the first verse of this chapter, this section, that how from one log of wood millions of sparks can come. Similarly, from one consciousness principle, this entire world of names and forms, infinite variety of names and forms can come out. That is how we have to understand this creation. All these verses in this entire section is full of creation. How the creation happens, how, that's why I introduced Maya Shakti. I introduced to you the Brahman, which is beyond the matter principle. The spirit has got different powers. What we are used to seeing in the world is matter in different forms. Like electricity in different forms. It can rotate, it can expand the sound, it can keep the fridge cool, it can play on, you can play the TV, you can use the mobile phone. These are all different forms of electrical energy. But that is matter. When it comes to the spiritual principle, there is only one principle in which the whole cosmos is getting illuminated. This Maya Upadhi which we talk, which is for the whole cosmos, it is a Shakti. It is not an object. It is a power, indescribable, invisible power. For example, rope, when it is conditioned by ignorance, that becomes the cause of rope snake. Rope snake is a projection in my mind. Why do I project that rope snake? Because I have ignorance in my mind. Ignorance with related to what? The substratum rope. Without the rope being there, can there be rope snake? No. Without pure Brahman consciousness, existence, principle, can there be a universe? No. Unless you have a substratum, you cannot have the superimposition. Adhyasa Bhashya. So without rope, no ignorance of rope, there cannot be a rope snake. Similarly, without Brahman and ignorance of Brahman, you see, suppose I come to know that there is something called as Brahman and I am that Brahman. I am that pure consciousness. Then what happens? My ignorance will go away. When my ignorance goes away, what happens? This world which I see becomes a lower order of reality. Exactly like the rope snake. This is how the knowledge of Brahman, Brahma Vidya, helps a seeker in dropping all the worries in his mind. Because for you falsify the entire cosmos as a lower order of reality. It appears, it can be experienced, but it is not real. It is not in 3 periods of time. It can appear, it can disappear. Disappears in the sleep state, appears in the waking state. So in essence, what is it? What is the story of this whole cosmos? Nothing is born. Appearance is there. As if the world is born, existing, and it is unmanifesting. Now this is a play of Maya Shakti. And who is behind this Maya Shakti? It is called as Brahman. Brahman or Paramatma. The moment we use the technical term Paramatma, the universe gets associated, which is called as Saguna Ishvara, Saguna Brahman. The moment you have Guna, along with the Brahman, it becomes a Paramatma or Ishvara. And whenever we are in the waking state, that world which we experience, together with that consciousness of Brahman is called as Virat Purusha. In the waking state, this Virat is a term used in Mandukya Upanishad. I am called as Vishwa. These are all just technical names for us to reach Brahman. We can drop these names the moment we are able to realize the invisible, imperishable Aksharam Brahma. Okay? So this cosmos is called as Virat Purusha. Similarly, there is something called as Hiranyagarbha, and there is something called as Antaryami that comes in Mandukya. I will go here also. We will be discussing that at a little later point of time. Then there are other verses which deal with creation. The whole section, as I said, is creation. In the fourth mantra, details of how this Virat Purusha is seen. The same thing is explained in Purusha Suktam also. The same thing is described in Dakshinamurti Stotram also. What does it say here? The fire, element fire, is the head. The sun and the moon are the eyes because they have light in them. Illuminating power is there in the moon and in the sun. So they become the eyes. Fire element is there in the Agni is there in the head. Prana, the Vayu which is seen outside, the air which we see, that's supposed to be the cosmic prana. The feet of that cosmic being is supposed to be the Prithvi, what we see as the earth element. And the speech of that is called as Veda. The speech of that cosmic person is Veda. The ears of the cosmic being are the directions which we see in this world. Eastern, northern, these are all the directions. Now, you may ask, why is this given in this format? This is the question which is asked in Brahma Sutra. And there, very beautifully, it is said, all this is meant for upasana purpose. For meditating, to make my mind subtle, we use these as prongs. These, when my mind thinks there is a cosmic being which has got these features, then what happens is I forget the world, I forget my body, I forget my mind. I am focused in something which is outside this world, which is a cosmic being. So this is there are several upasanas which are mentioned in the Upanishads. All these verses are meditative verses for making the mind subtle, so that when the Upanishad says these are the features of Brahman, the same mind can accept it as the truth. And then once your mind says, yes, this is the truth. How does it happen? Because you have gone through this process of study of the Upanishads. This Virat Purusha is the inner self of all the beings. See how beautifully this upasana is to be done. Okay, there is a cosmic being, but this cosmic being is also inside my body. I can imagine there is a cosmic being which is, see, when your mind meditates, what happens is mind drops itself. That is the beauty of these upasanas. And it becomes a pure mind. Then the next verse, fifth verse, from him the sky is produced. You see, these are all very similar to the Taittiriya Upanishad. If you have done Taittiriya Upanishad before, by some chance, of course, we will be doing it. But if you remember the Taittiriya Upanishad, From that Atma, which is Brahman, the sky, the five elements are beautifully mentioned, are created one by one. We have to apply the same principle here. That from that one principle, this whole universe, the rain clouds, the herbs, because of rain only the plants they grow, and because the plants grow, they bring the food for the human beings. When the human beings eats these foods, then he has got a seed. The male person has got a seed. The female person, after eating the food, has got the egg. When they fertilize, then a human being is born. All this is just for the purpose of upasana. See, that is what is being described. From that person, all the Vedas, the Vedic hymns are produced. Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda. Ultimately, why do we say this? See, human beings are the ones who have, the rishis have discovered this Veda. By the rishis in their meditation, they have discovered, they have documented, and that's what we are learning. Even these Upanishads are nothing but it is what the rishis have seen. Now, unless there is a human being, all this cannot be done. That is why they say that the Vedas itself have come from that Purusha. We are born from that Purusha because we are born from the food eaten by our parents. The food has come from that. We have just seen in the previous verse how the five elements are created, how the food is created. Then here we are talking about the same annam and the seed, how they are involved in the creation of human beings. Not only human beings, even animals and birds and so on. The idea behind this is the Guru Angiras is trying to give the picture of the whole creation coming from one cause, which is called as Brahman. Knowing that cause, which cannot be seen by the eyes, which cannot be imagined by the mind, but the only proof of the existence of Brahman is the Veda. That is why we say Shraddha in the Veda is required. Faith. With that faith, let me assume that there is Brahman. Eyes cannot see it because eyes are very finite. They are ears cannot hear. They are also finite. My mind cannot think beyond a certain level. That's all. Again, that is finite. I want to remember so many things. I can't remember what I discussed in the last class. Why? My mind is finite. It is made up of subtle elements. Memory is a function of the mind. And that it is your memory may be sharper than my memory because it's ultimately it is just that it is just a power in the mind, and that power is coming from the subtle element. But who is seeing that power? Is this consciousness? Who is seeing the thoughts in the mind? That is the power of Brahman. That is common between you and me. In that, there is no difference. In the memory, in the intellect, you may be very person with a higher intellect. You can grasp things very fast. I may take maybe 10 times I have to study something to grasp. But for some people, it is very fast. But then don't compare based on these things. They are all products of Maya Shakti. In the next verse, he talks about the deities. There are deities which are presiding over all the cosmic forces. Behind the earth, there is a cosmic deity. Prithvi Devata, Vayur Devata, Agni Devata, Apaha Devata, Surya Devata. All these are all cosmic powers. Then there are celestial powers. There are higher evolved souls in other lokas. They are also nothing but powers. All this, they control the life on earth. Okay? And in this mantra, it says the deities presiding over the phenomenal forces, the men, women, animal, birds, and green, austerity, faith, self-control, they are all coming from where? Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman. Keep this definition of Brahman in your mind all the time. Whenever you try to understand the Upanishad, you try to say, yes, there is one cause, that is Satyam Jnanam Anantam. The verse number 8 goes further down. 7 pranas, 7 flames, 7 oblations. When the pranas are moving in the body is alive. These pranas are like the flames. They keep the eyes, nostrils, ears, mouth active. It is this Shakti. This Shakti is Maya Shakti. Maya Shakti is nothing but matter principle in potential form. That is what is the 8th verse. It is going and explaining to us every aspect of this creation is this one Shakti. In the 9th verse, it says the oceans and the mountains, the rivers, the plants, the trees, all of them have got a subtle body. They are encircled by gross matter. If you remember Tattva Bodha, Tamoguna is creating this entire sthula gross world. Sattva creates the jnana indriyas. Rajoguna creates the karma indriyas. Whereas the inert world is created by Tamoguna. And together these three, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, is called as Prakriti. And that Prakriti is also given a name Maya. Maya Shakti. So it's easy. This is how we should understand the Upanishads. There is a consciousness Brahman. That is right at the top, Om. Below that is all this matter. How does all this happen in this universe? The 10th verse says the Purusha alone is all this universe. Like in the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, all the glories are mine. Lord Krishna says to Arjuna, look at the glories. And he describes so many, Mount Everest is me. If you see anything good, glorious in the world, immediately remember that is the Lord's power. Somebody chants very well. Somebody sings very well. Somebody does painting very well. Somebody can run the Olympics. So many wonders are there in this world. All that is one power. That is what is being taught in Mundak Upanishad. Learn to see this whole world as coming from one cause which my eyes cannot see. It is not possible to see with the help of 5 sense organs. Remember that. Never objectify the subject. I am that Purusha. Only claim. That's all. I am that pure consciousness. From me, entire world of names and forms comes around. That is the vision of the Upanishads. How I can realize it is by only saying, Aham Brahmasmi. I am that consciousness principle, and then full stop. The moment you add on something after that, you are getting into the world of matter, either body, mind, or intellect. Gross, subtle, or causal. I'm suffering in the world, punya papam, causal body. I'm very, very weak today. My body is painful, gross body. I suffered a lot of sorrow yesterday. My mind was turbulent, subtle body. It's all our expressions. These are all experience, no doubt, but it is not the ultimate truth. One cause is this Purusha alone. There are many effects, karma and tapaha, all the austerities done at the physical body level is called as physical tapaha. Upasana level, I am able to control all my thoughts and focus on one. That is what, again, it is austerity, it is tapaha. With the sense organs, I have the knowledge and I can respond. The response is possible because of the light of consciousness. Without the light of consciousness, it is pure dead matter. Anyone who knows this Purusha as one's own self cuts the knots of ignorance. That is what now slowly the Upanishad is talking about, ignorance of this pure nature of Brahman. The nature of self is seen in these verses. But how to realize it in my own self, in my own body-mind complex? Can I realize it? Is it possible? That is the topic in the second section of the second chapter. We have finished the first section of the second chapter of Mundak Upanishad. Mundak Upanishad is a pramanam. It reveals the Purusha by the method of understanding the pure one cause from which the whole universe is coming. That is the methodology which is used. Don't forget, in different Upanishads, there will be different methods. Mandukya Upanishad will talk about avastha, 3 states of the mind. Taittiriya Upanishad will discuss about the 5 koshas. In this Upanishad, if you want to remember, you must remember the methodology which is followed is meditate on that Aksharam Brahma. That is why the second section of the second chapter is important, because it tells us, how can I meditate? How can I know this myself? Really, is it possible to know this Brahman as myself? Is it possible? The Upanishad gives a challenge. Come on. I will teach you one method. If you follow that method, many people have tried it. They have found the success. You too will get the success. But before teaching the method, in the third verse, the first 2 verses again remind us about Brahman. So, the first, I told you there are 5 places in which Mundak Upanishad gives the definition of Brahman. In this, first and second mantras, verses are the definitions of the higher reality. What does it say? Number 1. Sannihitam guhacharam nama mahatpadam. In this cavity of the heart here means the intellect. In the intellect, very close to me, aparoksha, it is not something very far, it is not remote. That support, that great support of the entire cosmos, which we have called it as Brahman, is present. And in him, everybody breathes, everybody can do all actions. In that pure consciousness, the whole world is coming into activity and going out of activity. Manifestation, unmanifestation will become clear once your mind is pure. Till that time, you will always keep wondering, what is this creation? How is it all happening? I'm still not able to think. I'm not able to understand because your mind is very gross. If your mind becomes subtle by way of certain practices, sadhanas, which we have taught, it's possible to experience this pure Brahman in our own intellect. That is what is the first verse saying. It is the most adorable one. It is the highest of the beings. It is beyond the understanding of creatures. Why? Because understanding is a function of the mind. The mind has to be ultimately dropped in order to understand that pure Brahman. Ekam eva advitiyam. I will explain this in the Q&A. How to realize that one principle. That is the first verse here. Then the second verse here talks about luminous. Luminous means it is self-effulgent. It does not require something else to know that you exist. I exist. How do I know this? Because existence is self-evident. Another important principle of Vedanta. How do I know I exist? Because it is an existent principle, conscious principle. In this consciousness alone, the body is seen. The world is seen. Actions are going on. The jnana indriyas are functioning in this consciousness. But that consciousness, do you need any instrument to know that? No. That is why in the state of sleep, if I know I am Brahman, all of us can realize the truth in 1 second. One second, that's all. I know I exist in sleep. There is no body, there is no mind, there is no world. Do I exist or not? Yes, that is what is called as Brahman, which is self-evident. You don't need somebody to come and say, oh, you are there. No, I am there, that's all. It is the life, it is the speech, it is the mind, it is immortal. It is expressing us all this. And keep that as the goal. So what have I learned so far? There is something which is imperishable, which doesn't get destroyed when the body gets destroyed. Very important principle of Vedanta. Again and again in this Mundak Upanishad, aksharam, aksharam, again and again it is used. What does this mean? I have to believe there is something which is imperishable, immortal. I have to keep that as my goal of life. That is the goal of the entire spiritual study. Entire spirit, whatever topic you're studying, the goal is only that Turiyam, that imperishable Aksharam Brahma. Now I have to penetrate that through my mind. My mind is always looking outside, Paranchikani. It wants to go through the sense organs into the external world. I have to bring that external, extroverted mind, I have to bring it to that inward essence in me, which is called as Aksharam. How do I do that is explained in the third verse. The third verse says, use Omkaraha. That is the method of Pranava. Pranava means it existed long, long ago, before the creation of the world, universe itself. Om, Om, Om. That is the sound of the universe. There were some articles which also said in the YouTube, it said the sound behind the sun is Om. The sound when some instruments were used to hear the sound of the sun, blazing sun. What is the sound they heard? Om, 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 Om. It goes well with these scriptures which say the sound behind the entire cosmos is Om. The sound Om is the three worlds, waking, dream, and sleep. But the silence which you say, which you are able to experience after chanting Om, silence. Again chant Om, silence. In between silence is called as Nirgunam Brahma. Without any gunas, that silence which you experience is called as Nirgunam Brahma. The sound Om is Sagunam Brahma. With guna, with the five, with the sound is a principle of space. Space is one of the elements, guna. So one word can give you both the cause as well as the effect. See how powerful is this word Om? That is how you should understand. When you chant Om, if you know the meaning of Om like this, it is one cause from where the whole universe is coming and the whole universe is resolving on the word sound Om. I chant Om with this meaning in my mind. I can be carried away to another world of pure existence, pure Brahman. That is how powerful is this Pranava Upasana. Many sages and saints have practiced Pranava Upasana to realize the ultimate Brahman in their own intellect. And the Pramanam is this mantra. This Pranava Upasana mantra of Mundak Upanishad is a very famous in the scriptures for the realization of the self. The arrow, the bow is the weapon of the Upanishadic mantra. I use the mantra. Om. The arrow is the mind. My mind has got vritti, thoughts. That is the arrow which I have to shoot towards that Nirgunam Brahma, the goal. That whatever it is, we don't know. It is without any gunas. That's all I know. That the target is this reality. Mind is the arrow. The pranava sound is the instrument which I use to reach that goal of Brahman. Okay? This is explained in a few verses. We'll see in the 4th verse also. What does the 4th verse say? It describes the heart of meditation. Bow is the Omkara, Pranava, the Shabda. It has got nothing to do with that arrow or target, but it is the bow. It is thrown away after the arrow is hit. Suppose you have chanted Om in your mind. Okay? In the silence of your mind, there are no other thoughts. Mind is just chanting Om. Stop. Again chant Om. Again stop. Again chant Om. Again stop. Continue this. What you're doing? That sound Om is the bow. It is the means. And what is that arrow? I am the Jivatma using this sound. And what is the target? Brahman. Nirgunam Brahma. Aksharam Brahma. Which is described where? In the 6th mantra of the first section, in the second mantra, Brahman is described. That is what is the goal, which is called as self, is also called as Satchidananda Swarupa. These are the two verses which is the goal. Suppose you want to meditate on the goal, use this mantra. What is that? What is the nature of that Brahman? Use these two mantras. How to reach that Brahman? Use Om. Is it clear? I hope this is clear. If it is not clear, please ask me again in the Q&A. This is a very important point, very important Upasana. Mundak Upanishad is famous for two things. One is example of the two birds, which will come in chapter 3, first section. Mundak is also very famous for this Omkara Upasana, which comes in chapter 2 and in section 2. And then there are other ones which I told you, the 5 places where Brahman is described. That's all. Mundak Upanishad, this is it. I've given you a bird's eye view of the entire Upanishad today in today's talk. What is the most important essence? Pranava Upasana and Dva Suparna. Example, where Sakshi bird and Jiva bird are sitting in the same body. We'll see that when we discuss chapter 3. So in this example, Aparamatena, that means without trembling of hands, you should hold the bow. What does that mean? Without any distractions in the mind, you should use that instrument, Pranava Mantra, Om. Suppose while chanting Om, again you remember, what should I cook for dinner today? Finished. Omkara Upasana is over. You are lost in something else. So here, the trembling of the hands, when you use a bow, suppose your hands are moving, you can never hit the target. Similarly, the mind, if it is not pure, you cannot chant Om at all in meditation. Impossible. Because the mind is chattering. You want to sit in meditation and chant Om. The mind takes you for a ride all around the cosmos except Om. That is what is the experience of all the seekers. That's why I have almost like 85 meditation techniques. If you see the the notes which I send you of all the talks, you'll find all the 84 sections of the meditation, simple meditation techniques. We have to use meditation, we have to use the Shruti, and we have to use the Anubhava. All three must be used to realize the self and become free from the identification with the body and mind. Mind senses, when withdrawn correctly, and you practice with the thought, I am that Supreme Brahman, then only this Brahman is realized. In the morning Q&A session with another group, I was talking of the same thing. Some people are attending this talk also. Basically, Aham Brahma Asmi, this is a Mahavakyam. I must say to myself, at the end of my meditation, I am that higher, imperishable, immortal being. If you say that and you really mean it, and you have realized it subconsciously in your mind, that is what is called as moksha. There is, after that, there is nothing, no chanting is required, no meditation is required. You, at any split second, you can realize the truth and you can take the mind away from this cosmos. That is how this Pranava Upasana is very, very powerful. The fifth mantra says, what is that reality? It is in that Brahman, the earth, the mind, the pranas, all exist. And how to cross this bridge of mortality is to know that truth. Knowledge of that immortal Brahman will make me immortal. Very important thing in Upanishad. Normally, if I know yoga asana, I will not get the benefit. If I know how to cook, I will not get the benefit. I must eat to get the benefit. I must do that asana to get that benefit. But in the field of knowledge, especially in the field of Brahma Vidya, the one who knows Brahman becomes Brahman. This is a very famous mantra, which we will do it later on. Also, Brahmaiva Purastat Brahmaiva, that will Mahamakya will come. But basically here, one thing you should note, the one who knows Brahma Veda, Brahmaiva Bhavati, he becomes that Brahman itself. Because what? It is in that one cause the whole universe is coming and going. Kaivalya Upanishad, the previous Upanishad which I did, if you remember the 20th mantra of that Upanishad, I keep on repeating that mantra, Mayeva Sakalam Jatam, Mai Sarvam Pratishthitam, Mai Sarvam Layam Ati. I am that pure Brahman from which the entire cosmos is coming. Same thing is being repeated here. In every Upanishad, this 12 Upanishads we are going to take, every Upanishad is going to repeat the same Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahma Eva Naparaha. This is the central message of 12 Upanishads. And this is the bridge for immortality. Not only it describes the bridge, it is also telling us how to go and reach that bridge through Omkara Upasana. That is the beauty of Mundak Upanishad. It tells us, yes, 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 look in the direction, look in this direction, look in this direction. You will find it, you will find it, you will find it. You're searching, searching, searching. You chant Om, searching, chant Om, searching, chant Om, searching. You will realize the truth. No doubt about it, is a challenge of the Upanishad. Vidyate hridayat grantihi, chidyante sarva samshayaha, shiyante chasya karmani, tasmin drishye paravare. 8th verse of this Mundak Upanishad. Very famous. For all the seekers, this is a very important mantra, because a seeker always wants to know, can I really do it or not? Is it all something which is said? Is it possible, really possible? And how does it really happen? This mantra will teach us how. When I know this higher reality in my own intellect, the knots of the intellect are broken. This is a very famous mantra which is taken up even in Brahma Sutra. This is analyzed. In the Shankaracharya uses this so many times in his Bhashyam of Upanishads. I will be doing the Bhashyam of this when I take the next section, which is going to be Anubhuti Prakasha. I'll be taking this mantra there also. What does it mean? The knots of the heart are in the form of confusions in my mind about my own nature. I am the body is a confusion. That is a knot. How do I remove this knot? Study Brahman, Brahma Vidya. Hridaya means Atma. I am means body. This pure Atma, this pure Atma can be uncovered when the knots are broken. Granthi means knot. The feeling today, the notion, I am the body mind, is a notion. Now, that notion can be broken up, can be removed by the knowledge of pure consciousness. And when this happens, it is called as moksha. I am free person. So when do I say, you see, there are 4 purusharthas: dharma, artha, kama, moksha. In moksha, what happens? In dharma, artha, kama, you are attached to the body and mind. In moksha, what you are learning, I am not the body, I am not the mind. So when you study this, what happens? When you study more and more about the nature of Brahman, chidyante sarva samshayaha, all doubts are dispelled. Many a times, a lot of seekers, they ask too many questions also. They are very confused. This is how is it possible? How is it possible? I tell them, just wait. Please go through these 12 Upanishads. If you have small questions, small doubts, try to clear it. Big questions, Maya, Shakti, I don't understand. Okay, just wait. You will get this cleared. When you study the different Upanishads in different ways, it will teach us what is Maya Shakti. So, Shiyante chasya karmani. This, what does this mean? Shiyase, karmas will be destroyed. For the students of Vedanta, you know there are 3 types of karma. Karma phalams. Sanchita karma is the big basket where all my previous births karma phalams are yet to be realized. Prarabdha karma is the current body's karma. It is supposed to do certain actions and reap certain benefits, and till that last benefit is reached, I will not, the body will not die. Guarantee. Some people think they will live till 100, they pass away. Some people think that they will pass away, but they live till 90, 100. So that is not under the body's control. There is some other cosmic law which will take care of it. Don't worry about it. Whenever it happens, it happens. It is a natural phenomena, like you go to sleep, natural phenomena. Same thing will happen. Then you have to transfer from one body to another body. Agami. So prarabdha is this birth. Agami is what? In this birth, I have added certain other karmas. And that I try to, Agami will get added to Sanchita to give me the next body. But here what Mundak Upanishad says is, Shiyante chasya karmani. All Sanchita and Agami karmas are destroyed. All bondages are loosened. It is these karma phalams which are erupting in my mind as the thoughts. Karana Shariram. This is the description of Karana Shariram, causal body. Punya Papam, merits and demerits. That is what makes me hold on to the body as me. What is this verse saying? Shiyante chase karmani. That means this will get destroyed. Don't worry. You will not be born again. This is the proof. This verse is a pramanam for for sanchita karma and agami karma to be destroyed after the knowledge of Brahman. And you will be set free. This is the pramanam. This is the mantra to be quoted. If somebody asks you, is there punya papa karma mentioned in the Upanishads, in the Vedas? Yes, this is the mantra. What happens to prarabdha karma? Prarabdha karma has to be exhausted in this birth, both for a jnani and a ajnani. In every question answer session, I have this question. What happens to the prarabdha karma for a jnani? Will the jnani have death? Will the jnani, after realizing Brahman, will he continue? How will he live? All this is answered here in this one verse. I mean, if I have time, I can go on and on and on in this one verse. But it's an important mantra. You can, whenever you study Mundak Upanishad in future, remember this verse is a pramanam for karma phalam. And it tells me very clearly, by knowing Brahman, I can see what really happens is, when your mind travels in the direction of Brahman indicated by the 5 definition mantras of this Upanishad, all the eruptions which the volcanic eruptions which usually come up in your mind, they are all put off. Like a small breeze can put off the flame. Similarly, the vrittis which arise can be put off by this Pranava Upasana. By the time you even hit the target, your karma phalams are destroyed. That is why there are Jivan Muktas living. While living itself, you can be free. You can see many rishis are there, many Swamijis are there in Chinmaya Mission, in Arsha Vidyalaya, in so many institutions in India, teaching institutions. You will find many Swamijis happy, free, because they have destroyed the Sanchita. They feel the mind is very light. No more Agami, no more Sanchita. Okay, there is a little bit of prarabdha which I have to experience. It will come, it will go. They are not bothered because it is a passing phase. You and I can get the same benefit. How? By doing the same pranava upasana which they have done. Tasmin drishte paravare. Very important word in this 9th mantra. When Brahman is seen in the higher and lower nature, like I said, Om sound is lower nature. Silence is the higher nature. When that is seen by the meditator as the truth of the entire cosmos, he has realized Brahman. Okay. Now next comes the very important verse. Very beautiful, very powerful verse. Na tatra suryo bhati, na chandra tarakam, nema vidyatho bhanti, kutoya magnihi. Tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam, tasya bhasa sarvamidham vibhati. Many of you know this verse by heart. You have even chanted while doing the aradhana in your house. When you show the camphor to the idol in front and you chant this mantra, this is done in all the temples. When they do the Deepa Aradhana, they will chant this mantra. If you follow carefully, you will know this is the mantra. What does this mantra say? It's a very deep meaning. Meditation on this mantra again will give you the benefit of Brahma Vidya. What does the mantra say? In that Brahman, the sun does not shine, the moon does not shine, the stars do not shine, the lights do not shine. In that Brahman, they do not shine. If they are not shining there, can this light, which is a earthly fire, camphor, lightning, all this which is earthly in this plane, can this light that Brahman? No. That is why they say there is nothing in this universe except that Brahman alone is there. So what I am trying to tell Bhagavan, the Lord, is, oh Lord, I have bought for maybe $1 or $2 this camphor. I am trying to show this arti to you. You are that powerful light which is illumining this camphor. How can this camphor light you? You are the one who is lighting the camphor and me and the universe. That is the mantra here. That is your glory, O Lord. You are the consciousness principle which can illumine the whole universe. Your light is illumining the universe. It is the spiritual light. Matter light is the sunlight, is the firelight. Agni is what? It is one of the elements. It is matter. It cannot reveal Brahman. Paramatma is the light of all the lights. This is a very, very famous mantra. He analyzed this like 100 times in Upanishads, in Bhagavad Gita, in Brahma Sutra. We analyze this again and again, because it is a very powerful mantra to just think on this, and then your mind will quieten. The sun, moon, star, lightning cannot illumine this Paramatma. So never try to objectify the Lord. Never try to objectify Brahman. The only way you can do it is say, I am that Brahman, because this is the way Upanishad teaches me. That Brahman is there in this body, and therefore you can say, Aham Brahma Asmi. If that Brahman was not there in this body, you can never say. But who says this? The Veda. The Upanishads, like this mantra, is telling me it is there in the intellect. The shining principle by which the thoughts which are inert are getting illumined is this light, the spiritual light of consciousness. Every thought is only an upadhi. It is a medium to reveal this light. Like the moonlight is a light to illumine, to show that there is some sun which is shining on the moon. Moon doesn't have light of its own. The thought doesn't have light of its own. It becomes that every thought becomes a knowledge only when the consciousness shines in that thought. How can the light of camphor illumine you? What is the camphor? What does it signify? Camphor is the ego. I keep on saying this. How can that I illumine that consciousness when consciousness is illumining the I? The higher I in this body is the consciousness, is the Sakshi. It never dies. It is always changeless factor in me. That is why I remember waking, dream, and sleep. All these are revealed by whom? The three states of the mind are revealed by Sakshi, the light of Sakshi. The camphor stands for the ego I, which is the mind I. It is the waker I, dreamer I, sleeper I. It is burnt. It is burnt in the light of knowledge of Sakshi. See, so much depth is there in this mantra. How camphor is the ego. Paramatma is recognized as the light. For example, in a dark room, table, chair, and me are there. I am known, but the table and chair are not known if the light, the electric light bulb is not working or you switched it off. Suppose you switch off the light in the room, then the room becomes dark. Correct? All of you can understand this very easily. Room is dark, but when the room is dark, I cannot see the table or chair or my mobile also. But do I know myself? In that dark room, do I know who I am? Do I know I am? I am means I, the consciousness, amness is there. In what light do you know this amness? It is a self-illumining light. You don't need any other light. That is called the Antarjyoti principle. Swayam Jyoti. Vedanta Upanishad chapter 4 deals with this Swayam Jyoti. Very, very beautiful section. The same thing is given here as one full chapter is there with about 30, 40 verses. That is covered in one verse in this Mundak Upanishad. Same mantra comes in Kathopanishad also, because this is a very powerful mantra. Learn it by heart. If you don't know, learn it by heart. Because one day you will use it in your meditation. Many people say, I don't know how to meditate. Well, learn this by heart. Think about this mantra, whatever I've said so far, just remember that. By doing that, what will happen? You will realize the truth, which the Upanishad is trying to reveal. The light in which I am, the knowledge is getting illumined in my mind is this light of consciousness. Material light is required for illumining material objects. To illumine the material thought, I need the light of the spiritual light of consciousness. When I have focused on the spiritual light as my real nature, I can then say, I am that spiritual light in which the sun and moon are manifest. During the waking state, the sun and moon are unmanifest in the sleep state. They are not conscious of me. Sun and moon is inert. They are not conscious of me, the consciousness. I am conscious of the sun and the moon. Therefore, mayeva sakalam jatam, mayi sarvam pratishtitam. Kaivalya. With this, I will stop today. It has been a very heavy Mundak Upanishad mantras in this session. Very powerful section. The second chapter, this section is extremely powerful. And both the second, I mean, this is the fulcrum, the focus of the entire Mundak Upanishad. All these mantras. Pranava mantra, Divyoyo Murti Purusha mantra, then the definition of self-effulgent light principle. All these are all important aspects of Mundak Upanishad. With that, I will close today and then we open up for Q&A session. Next week, we are going to do a Mahavakyam. Brahmai Vedam Amrutam Prostat Brahma Pashat, Brahma Dakshinataha, Cha Uttarena, Adaschordam, Cha Prastram, Brahma Vedam, Vishwamidam, Varishtan. It's a Mahavakyam we'll do next week. Mahavakyam is an important statement of the Upanishad. Every Upanishad has got a Mahavakyam. For this Upanishad, this is one of the Mahavakyams. Okay. I will close the session with the Purnamada mantra. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachade Purnasya Purnamathaya Purnameva Vasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Okay. Manikandan is asking, during the Om meditation, when we try to drop the body, mind, and try to realize, are we realizing the reflected consciousness? Is realizing the reflected consciousness the same as original consciousness? Yes. Good question. Very beautiful question. It tells me the depth in which you are understanding all these mantras here. See, when we are saying, I am that consciousness, you are saying ultimately, Aham Brahma Asmi. Okay? Whenever you are trying to see a thought, then the concept of reflected consciousness will come. But when you say Aham Brahmasmi, I am that Brahman, this is a vritti. It is a Brahma Akara vritti. In Panchadasi, in the first chapter, this is very beautifully explained towards the end of the first chapter. Brahma Akara vritti means a thought which has the form of Brahman. Normally, a vritti, a thought, takes the shape of objects of the world. When it takes the shape of the objects of the world, it is Vishaya Akara vritti, the form belonging to the objects. But when it takes the shape of this vritti, which is called as Brahmakara vritti, Aham Brahmasmi, this particular vritti, I am that pure consciousness, is the only way to realize Brahman. It is not the reflected consciousness, because you are not talking, I am the reflected consciousness, then the statement will not be Aham Brahmasmi. Then what will be the statement? Aham Chidabhasa Asmi. Aham Chit Asmi will not be there. But the Mahavakyam is what? Aham Brahma Asmi. Brahma means Chit, Chaitanya. If it is reflected consciousness, it will be Chidabhasa. Okay, so we are not referring to Chidabhasa. Chidabhasa is the ego. Okay. Okay, Manikandan, is it clear? Manikandan, is it clear to you? I'm not sure whether he's there. Okay, he may not be there. Okay. Then the next question is, Vibhuti is saying today's session, okay, was very, okay, good. Okay, there are no more questions in the chat box. I will take up one question which was asked by Bharat. In the morning session, we had a Q&A session with another small group who are doing some self-study. That question what Bharat asked me there was, what is this concept called as Sajatiya, Vijatiya, Swagata, Bheda? Sajatiya. You see, these are three technical terms. Now, these three technical terms, they come when we try to understand Chandogya Upanishad. In Chandogya Upanishad, there is a famous mantra there called as Tattvamasi. After saying that you are Tattvamasi, you are that Brahman. And then the Guru says, Ekam eva advitiyam. Ekam means one, non-dual. Eva means alone. Advitiyam means it is without a second. These three terms are explained by Shankaracharya in Chandogya Upanishad using these three technical terms: Sajatiya Bheda, Vijatiya Bheda, Swagata Bheda. What does these three words mean? I will give you an example. It will become very clear. Sajatiya Bheda means there are, for example, you take example of trees. Tree is a jati. You can have a coconut tree, mango tree, palm tree. So many trees are possible, different types of tree. So Sajatiya Bheda means trees can have different jatis and you can have many variety in trees. Sajatiya Bheda Rahitaha means there is no difference seen because of Sajati in Brahman. In pure consciousness, there is no Bheda at all. There is no differences can be seen because there are no trees, there is no world present there. Okay, so that is one aspect. Second is Bijatiya. Bijatiya means what? Not the same jati. Suppose you take a tree and a stone. They are two different things. In Brahman, there is no Vijati. Because again, it is Ekam. That is Vijatiya Bheda. One pure existence alone is, one consciousness alone is, one bliss principle, happiness alone is. That is the only happiness which is possible in the whole universe, which is independent. All the happiness which we get in this world is all reflected happiness, dependent happiness. But that happiness is pure Brahman. So Brahman has no Sajatiya Bheda, Vijatiya Bheda, and the third type of Bheda, differences which is seen in the external world, is Swagata Bheda. What is Swagata Bheda? Take the same example of a tree. In a tree, there are plants. In a tree, there are branches. In a tree, there are leaves. Trunk is there. Different parts are there for a tree. But in Brahman, is there a part? No. Brahman is not a part of the body, not a product of the body, not a property of the body. It is pure consciousness without any differences called as Swagata Bheda. In Brahman, there is no parts, nir avayava, it is without any avayava. That is why when I say Aham Brahmasmi, you should drop all the differences of vrittis which will come if there are any Bheda. Ekam, when you chant in your mind, Ekam, Eva Advitiyam. You see, the Advitiyam is very, very important. Shankaracharya's principle of Advitiyam Brahma comes from this Chandogya Upanishad mantra. Ekam Eva Advitiyam Brahma. The whole concept of Advaita principle is coming from this one mantra of Chandogya Upanishad. Advitiyam Brahma, it says. Advitiyam means very clearly, it says that that in this pure consciousness, it alone is. This is the way to meditate on Brahman. So the question is regarding Sajatiya, Vijatiya, Swagata, Bheda meditation. When I try to meditate, I should say, I am that consciousness principle in which there is no world, therefore there is no jati, there is no vijati, hence it is ekam, hence it is non-dual, hence it is advaita. If in your meditation you are able to say this and hold on to this principle, this will go into your subconscious mind and it will stay there. If it stays there, it becomes nishtha. You become Brahmanishta. It will never go away from you, the consciousness principle in this body. You will start realizing that pure Satchidananda principle in your own mind. So Bharat, this is the answer to your question. Am I clear?
Hari Om, Shakaji. Yes, thank you very much. Can I just repeat what you said?
Yeah.
So it's like when we're meditating. So it's vijati means it's not a category. So it's not any type of class or anything like that.
Yes.
Sajati. I'm sorry, I'm not pronouncing.
Yeah,
the
no
words
problem. It's
correctly.
okay.
So even
Jati
within
means species. So Brahman has no second consciousness. There is no second consciousness. It is not as. Therefore, it is called as vijati. No second consciousness.
Indeed. So it's not like there's two types of upper, lower conscious.
Yes.
So it's not even that.
Yes.
But I just want to really, I think I understand those two words. It's really the last word, swagata. Does that mean that even to say in your mind the thought, oh, Brahman is one non-dual Brahman, even to drop that as well?
Yes, you're right.
Not even to have any form of singular instance identity to Brahman. Like, so you can't even meditate on the quote unquote Nirguna Brahman, because thinking about Nirguna Brahman is again another thought. So you have to drop even that. Is that what is meant by Swagata?
Yeah. See, for very advanced students, what you're saying is true. That even you don't have to say that. I am that Swagata Brahman, I am Nirguna Brahman. You don't have to say that, becomes, but for that is for ultimate realization. But in Panchadasi and in Vichara Sagara, the teachers there have said, you must say in your own mind, Aham Brahmasmi. That becomes a Brahmakara Vritti. That Vritti is very important initially, but ultimately what you are saying is right, that Nirguna Brahman is something where these three words are only used only till the point of reaching that Brahman. That's all.
Understood.
It is like the pole vaulter. he uses the pole up to going right to the top, and then he drops the pole. So Sajatiya, Vijatiya, Bheda, all this has to be dropped. Ultimately, what I'm dropping is my own mind.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Point, I am dropping my mind. That's all. The mind becomes no mind when the no mind, when the mind becomes a no mind. That pure consciousness, when it shines in that no mind situation, sattvic mind, that is a moksha.
I think I'd just like to add what you said this morning about just during meditation to claim consciousness. For that was very helpful.
Good, very good. You see, that is the only way they say. I mean, the many teachers, they they don't emphasize this point. They keep on talking about all the topics of Brahman being this. Then everybody, what happens is by mistake, the seeker starts imagining and starts objectifying the Brahman, which is the objectification is a natural tendency of a human mind. This tendency, we have to drop it.
I think Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. Brahma is Satyam, Jagat is Mithya. So who is left? You. Yes.
No. You see, that Brahma Satyam has to be converted as Aham Satyam.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's what I meant to say. Yes.
Yes, you are right. The moment you say Aham Satyam, then Jagat Mithya becomes very easy.
Yes.
Then you are already finished. Then see, the moment you have your intellect has understood Jagan Mithyatvam, it's a very, very important milestone in spiritual ladder. Very, very big milestone. You have crossed a lot of ladders, Even the Sajatiya, Vijatiya, Swagata Bheda, the moment you are able to realize this in the seat of meditation, it's a tremendous achievement in spirituality.
Your meditation videos are very helpful, but thank you very much for elaborating. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody else has a question? Yes, Shama, tell me. Yeah. Before that, before Shama, one more. Is there Bahubai here?
No question, Shekhar.
Bolo. But I'll come to you next. Yeah, Bahubai, bolo.
My question is same. I don't have any question, Shekhar.
Okay, thank you. But what's your question?
Yeah, so I just wanted to recapture that example related to the Vedas which you mentioned.
Yes.
Just for making sure that I don't forget it. Sajati Veda is the Jati Veda within a group, like the different types of trees.
Correct. Coconut tree, mango tree. Remember this example, you will have no problems at all.
Vijatiya Vijay is the difference between a different two objects as well. Like you can take
two
a rock
different
and
objects.
and a water.
Yeah, Vijatiya means Viseshena Jati. That means there's one
totally
Jati.
Different.
Yeah, they're totally different.
Yeah, they are not related.
Correct.
Swagata Veda?
Swagata Veda means in a particular tree itself. Suppose you are now taking a tree. In the tree itself, there is parts. Like you take, for example, in a tree, there is a leaf, there is a fruit, there is a flower, there is a trunk, there is a branch, there is a twig. All these are all within a tree itself. For example, in the body, the hands are there, the legs are there, there are different parts. They're all put together. And then we say it is a human body. So in Brahman, there are no parts. It is all pervading principle. Consciousness is all pervading. It is everywhere at every time. There is nothing in the world like consciousness. It is one. That is why you see this definition of Brahman as Sajatiya, Vijatiya, Swagata, Bheda, Rahita is a beautiful definition to reach that Brahman.
Oh,
Is it clear?
yes.
Okay, good. Anybody else before I go to? Okay, here there's Sajatiya Bheda, Paramatma and Jivatma division goes off. Yes. In Sajatiya Bheda. Sajatiya Bheda, Paramatma and yeah. Jati here, actually, you cannot say Paramatma and Jivatma.
But
Yeah,
they are the two types of Atma, right?
correct.
So I'm looking at
Okay,
it.
from that point of view, yes. The Atma is the same, but one is a small Atma, another is a big Atma.
Correct, yes.
So the Jati difference which you see is because of the Upadhi called as the body.
Correct.
Upadhi called as the universe.
Yes.
So all the time you are experiencing only Brahman. If you remove the Upadhi, what is it which is conscious?
That merges.
It merges that whole. While listening to the talk itself, you can know I am that Brahman. That's all. Finished. Para, Vidya division goes away. Maya, you are right. Whatever you have said here is perfect. Good, but I think you have got the point.
Thank you. Hari Om.
Hari Om, thank you. Yeah, anybody else? Today, Shama is the last person. Normally, she is the first person. Today, she will be the last.
I will love to be the last, yeah, no problems.
Okay, anybody else? Yeah, Shama, please go ahead.
Hari Om, Shikhaji.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Just one question is related to the Oma Vichara, apart from Mandukya and Mundaka. I just wanted to know where else is this Om or Pranava Vichara, where all it is coming. In which
Prashna Upanishad has got it, Omkara. It comes in Bhagavad Gita.
Yes.
It comes in Katho Upanishad.
As well, yeah.
Yes.
So Prashna Upanishad,
comes
Bhagavad
in
Gita.
Mandukya Upanishad.
Mandukya, yes, that I remember
Yes.
very well. Yeah. And Kathopanishad, yeah.
Yes, Katho Upanishad. Taittiriya Upanishad, it comes in the first chapter, Om Iti Brahma.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Okay, and
So,
you will find, if you put Om and search in Google, you'll find so many places it will come.
or should it come up with Pranava Vichara?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one. The second one was really related to the meditation. I know we have been saying, so to me, the way Om appears to be is more, it's a symbol. It's like a pratika or not a pratima, because obviously there is no image of Om, but it's a symbol, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a symbol.
It is a symbol or a pratika.
Yeah.
So therefore, this is almost like what you keep referring to as the, the pole vault, so you actually have a pole, which is Om. Yeah. So you're actually using this, the sadhaka or the spiritual aspirant is using this in order to make this final journey into Brahman, isn't it? Yeah, so it is because, and it is almost like because Om is the final reduction, Akshara, beyond which really there is nothing else. And it, so from Mandukya and for everywhere else, so it's the, if we have to reduce everything else, it reduces down to Om in terms of the Shabdas, isn't it?
That's correct. The sound and silence, that is what is taught in Mandukya Upanishad.
Mandukya, yes.
Yes.
So,
Here, there are some people who like to use the same Om in another way.
Oh, I see.
This is, don't get confused between the two methodologies. That is a separate methodology. Here they are talking about another methodology. Suppose a person is more used to being, playing with arrows and bow. For him, this will be useful.
Yeah, because intuitively, the one in Mandukya, so where Brahman and Om is almost like actually equated,
Yes.
Yeah. So it looks very intuitively more
Easier.
Easier, you know.
I agree with you. For people who have done Mundak Upanishad before in a very intensive way, like how we have done it, you will find that more easier compared to the Pranava Upasana.
And there is it looks like there is a complete equation between Om and Brahman, isn't
Yes,
it? So
yes.
whether you are doing Om Vichara or whether you're doing Brahma Vichara, it's the same thing.
That's correct.
Yeah, so that was one clarification I wanted. So what I'm asking here is intuitively, so you know, each one of us in our spiritual evolution, isn't it reasonable to believe that in terms of how we choose to meditate, we can intuitively use what mantras seem to allow a flow? Because
Yes, I agree with you. You are right. Use whatever allows a flow of mind for you.
Okay. Now, even the Mahavakya Vichara, for example, if straight into the meditation, if I have to embrace the idea of Aham Brahmasmi, it hits me hard, you know, because I can't just straight away go into, Aham Brahmasmi. However, if I do Prajnanam Brahma, so everything is consciousness.
Yes.
Everything, all the Chaitanyam, everything, you know, Jada, everything is the same. So that, then you, within the same session or a different session, you can graduate Soyam Atma Brahma.
Yeah.
And then Aham Brahmasmi. That looks all very, very gradual and natural. Does that?
Yeah, you're right, Shama. So whatever your orientation your mind has picked up, you try to stay with the same orientation. Don't change it.
This was my main question.
Are you scared?
Is it
Yes.
okay?
Are you scared?
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you scared?
Okay.
Yeah, that was really my the you know, the kind of conflict. So yeah, thank you for clearing that. Thank you very, very much. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else has any other questions?
Okay, Hariom.
Thank you, Bhavai. And then we'll meet next week and continue Mundak Upanishad. And let's see how we go. We have done we are in the second chapter, and let's see. We have finished the creation. We are now into understanding the Mahavakyam. Mahavakyam is this Mahavakyam is a fairly easy one. And thank you and good night.
Good night. Hariom.
Hariom.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hariom.
Thank you, Bharat. Thank you.
Hariom.
Hariom.
Thank you so much. Hari Om.
Thank you.